I was sitting on a blue flannel blanket on a hospital bed in an emergency room, waiting to go home because I was sure I was fine when I turned down a doctor's invitation to stay in their behavioral health unit on suicide watch. See, I actually thought it was an invitation, but it turned out it was more of like an FYI. And as I was being checked into the unit, my biggest fear was not what's wrong with me. It was, oh my gosh, I can't be on site for this big rollout we were doing at this bank where I worked in IT. When they finally released me about 5 days later with another diagnosis of bipolar disorder, I refused ongoing treatment. That's the impact that mental health stigma had on me. It made me too ashamed to admit that I had a problem I couldn't fix on my own until about 8 years later, I got a second invitation to a behavioral health unit. And I can tell you the exact moment that my life started to shift from just abject hopelessness to starting to believe that maybe, just maybe, I could enjoy life. I was sitting with one other patient in this big hygienic dining area, and we were talking about the events that had led us both there. And we even smiled and nodded and laughed a little bit in spite of how dark our situations were. I had never connected with anybody who on the inside had been through what I had, and it blew my mind. I went from feeling like a complete outsider on the entire planet to feeling like I belonged. And several years later, I was able to start telling stories about my journey from loneliness to connection, from addiction to recovery, from nonstop bone chilling depression to, I wouldn't say no depression, but a lot less depression. And I'm so much better equipped to deal with it today because I do things to take care of myself, like maintaining a mindfulness practice and cultivating a social support network. The beauty of my story isn't that it's extraordinary, it's that it's ordinary. People transform their lives every day. That's why I'm a member of the Stability Network. I want to be one more voice that says, hey, if you live with depression, anxiety, or something like that, these are very common, universal experiences. And instead of isolating you from others, they could connect you to people. You're smart, you're resilient, and you can have a life you love if you don't already. So don't listen to stigma. Listen to us. You belong.